hopefully I'm live. One second, let me unplug this so you don't get an echo. The audio from like 2 streams ago was a little bit flangy, and I'm not entirely sure why, but it sounds like I fixed it. All right, Twitch is go. YouTube is question mark. YouTube is go. Huzzah! Welcome, my friends, to live coding. Let me make sure I pause all of this. I'm gonna warn you right now, there's a non-zero chance that we'll have a couple little blips and interruptions today. I live in an apartment building, and because more people are working from home right now, the internet's a little bit flaky, but we'll get through it. And then the video should be uploaded. I think last week the YouTube video on Wednesday the YouTube video got cut into 2 parts, but I don't think anything was missing. Lynn, hello, welcome to the live stream. Cheers. I've got electrolyte water. I've also switched to tea today instead of coffee, just so we can have like a little bit more of a chill experience. Hi Hassan, welcome to the stream. So, for those of you who have been joining for a bit, you're familiar with the project. Everybody else, we're going to be continuing. So I had this idea in my head for a conversational assistant. Hello, Schmidt Danielle. I don't know which of you those is your first name. I'm going to go with Schmidt. Hi, Schmidt. New York Times Dialect quiz. So if y'all remember, back in 2013, the New York Times Dialect quiz. Hello, Saul? Sorry if I'm saying that wrong. It's hard for me to guess, especially if I don't know what language it's from. And even if I do know what language it's from, I am also liable to make problems with my pronunciation. Hello, Nadine. Welcome. So, the New York Times Dialect quiz is what I was saying. And I will warn you, I'm going to be a little bit sniffy today. I think, hi Abhishek, nice to see you. I think it's called photic sensitivity or like photic triggered sneezing. Anyway, I got like really bright lights there and there. And for about like 35% of the population in the US, particularly white women, which I am I am one of those. Bright lights make you more liable to sneeze and like get sniffy. And I think that might be what I have. Also, seasonal allergies are really bad right now. But just FYI, the sniffles are normal for the stream. Don't worry. The New York Times Dialect quiz is what we were talking about. So if you remember in 2013, if you were on Linguistics Twitter, you definitely remember, the New York Times had this 25-question dialect quiz, and you went through and you answered all the questions, and then based on data collected in the Harvard Dialect Survey, which was run by VertVox, and it's in the description of the YouTube video. It's not in the description of the YouTube video, no! My brain's telling me Simon Daniels. I'm pretty sure that's not their name. My apologies for saying it incorrectly. And I'll have to go back and update the description. But the idea was it was this quiz based on this large-scale dialect survey, and it would sort of give you an estimate of where or in the United States your language use patterns most closely with, right? And the big problem with the dialect quiz, I mean, fantastic, introduced a lot of people to sociolinguistics. It was great to be teaching at this time because you could have your students take it as an assignment and be like, oh, all the things we talked about in class. But as like a way of collecting sociolinguistic information and doing like a sociolinguistic test, it's a little bit not ideal. And the main reason is this sort of multiple choice format. Newmont Critch says, I was gonna complain about there being no y'all. It was revealed when you scrolled. Yeah, there's definitely a y'all. I'm a y'aller. So this multiple choice format, the problem with that is that it's going to, hi Nariman, welcome. It's going to push people towards one of those choices, right? And when you're asking a question, let's see if I can get one that's more helpful. We've kicked out the these ones. Bin, bean. It depends on if it's stressed or not, huh? We've been to the store. We've been. I think it's eh. There we go. Okay, here's a good example. So you have this question, what would you call the sale of unwanted welcome items on your porch, yard, etc.? And what we want from a sociolinguistics standpoint, for those of you who don't know, my PhD is in computational sociolinguistics, so this is a big part of what I did in grad school several years ago at this point. You want people to have like their like most instinctual answer, like the thing they tell their friends or their family. And the problem is, just looking at these, I'm like, well, I'd probably say yard sale, but I could say garage sale. I definitely like hear that. And like I've heard rummage sale. Maybe I do say rummage sale. So if you give people a lot of options, then they start to like second guess themselves a little bit. And if you don't give people a multiple choice option and they can just like answer whatever it is that they would most likely say, you're more liable to get more, ecologically valid sociolinguistic answers. That's why we're building a bot. And I also really want this to be a voice skill. We spent some time figuring out how to make it work with Alexa. And I've actually been talking with one of the folks on the Alexa team, and it sounds like the approach we used might not get through certification, just FYI. But there's no like public-facing documentation that discusses that, so a little bit frustrating, but you can definitely use it as a private skill if you're using Alexa for business on your business device. So I guess if you want to build a dialect quiz just for people in the office, this is your chance. Get my Python mug. So we worked on the bot. We have the sort of the bones of the bot ready to go. But what we didn't have for a while was the data, which meant we didn't have the classifier, which meant that when people answered and went through and answered all the questions, there was no way for us to tell them like, oh, great, and your, dialect is blah, blah. We didn't have that, which was a little bit frustrating. So we're building the classifier. And let's run all of this from the top. I will say the Visual Basic Jupyter interface is a little bit buggy. Sometimes it seems like it's not, like there's a little disconnect between the code that's actually being run and the interface. And I, despite having worked adjacent to people who worked in NB Convert quite a bit, don't quite know the internals very well. So little sip of water. All right, we're gonna have to go back and fix that. So what we've done so far is quite a bit of data cleaning. So we have the actual text of all of the answers, as opposed to, not only do we have the text of all the answers, we also have we also have the text of all the questions, and the key that links the question to the answer. So that's what's between the question key file and the question with text file. We have all the information we need to build the bot. And in our quiz, we're only going to have 19 questions. And what we'd used for the target variable, so the thing that we're trying to, sort people into, is a combination of city and state is what we went to. We could have done zip code, but I don't have a good idea of what zip codes are where unless I've lived like right in one or right next to one. Like I know Seattle has like 98103, for example. And I know some from like Virginia, and I've lived in California, but I don't remember any from California. So zip codes are not my thing. Robbie says, oh, time change. Yeah, we are on Pacific Daylight Times now. Actually, the Washington State Legislature, and I think also the Oregon and California State Legislature, passed a bill to just not do daylight savings time and always stay on the same time. But it needs to go through the federal legislature to actually happen, and I don't know if that's going to happen. We'll find out. Hassan says, where did you get the data set? The data set is courtesy of Bert Vox. And well, the assistant is open source. I don't have permission to share just like the raw data. So I'm probably going to share the trained model instead. Probably as a pickle? I don't know. The problem with pickling is you have to have my exact environment to unpickle. I'm pretty sure there's a non-serialized format for storing XGBoost models. I don't know about K-Nearest Neighbors models. we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. But good question. Yeah, no, there was a lot of emailing back and forth, which is the true data science experience. So, target variable, city, state, not zip. And our first round was down here. We were working with XGBoost, which is a gradient boosting library. And yeah, that makes sense. Let's get rid of this, maybe. Train got multiple arguments. I guess get rid of that, maybe. All right, so it's just not doing early stopping rounds. Oh, early stopping is working now. Interesting. Last week, if you were here, we had a problem with early stopping not working, and we were overfitting pretty dramatically. Overfitting just means that your model has learned more about the distribution of your training data than sort of generalizable patterns. So we started with XGBoost, which is a tree-based model, and we only looked at city-state combinations with more than 15 total instances in our data set. And we started with about 47,000 data points, survey responses, which is pretty good size, especially for linguistic survey data. It's enormous. For sort of industry data, it's like, it's fine. And then once we took just the common city-state combinations, we ended up with, let's check the shape. Nope, is it an attribute? Yep. That ain't right. There we go. So we ended up with 24,000-ish, 25,000-ish samples. So we lost about 20,000 samples. 22,000 samples, which is a pretty big drop in the amount of data. And the more I think about it, the more I think that maybe dropping that data is something we want to avoid doing, right? We want to end up using all of the data. So we did that. We only looked at the big classes. Clumping. And we ended up with 415 classes, which is still a fair number of classes. And using our K-Nearest Neighbors, just sort of like default parameters, we ended up, sorry, no, this is K-Nearest Neighbors. Using XGBoost default parameters, we ended up with a training error of about 85%, which means we're only right about 15% of the time. Not ideal, I would say. And then does this work? Yeah. Oh, interesting. So this is actually PST 87% error. That makes sense. So it's a little bit higher. And then we tried soft prob instead of just the top one. So you get the probabilities out instead of the most likely candidate. And again, looks like we're starting to overfit pretty dramatically. Yeah, so 15% isn't great, but that was using the topmost category. So the most likely thing, is that the same as our actual answer? And in the New York Times dialect quiz, if you go through it, you get your top 3 cities. And for me, the 2 of the top cities made a lot of sense, and the third city, so it was Richmond and Newport News. And I would probably say I'm from Fluvanna County. Even if you're from Virginia, you probably wouldn't have heard of it. It's sort of between Charlottesville and Richmond. We lose at football a lot. Is what you might know us for if you're in our district. I don't know that. Our football team might have gotten better. But I got sidetracked. Anyway, so both of those are cities in Virginia, and very reasonable. My grandpa and a lot of my family grew up in Newport News or Richmond area. And then the third city was St. Louis, which is maybe surprising, but that's the big city nearest where my mom is from, which is, again, the middle of nowhere. I know, I was a country kid. So, in the top 3 cities, 2 of them were pretty good, and one of them was understandable, but maybe not like something I would have picked, based on my own sort of linguistic identity. And I think that instead of doing, having the exact top answer, it would make more sense to see if our answer was in the top 3. And I know that last week Ryan in the chat was sharing resources for that, but I want to see if we can just get top-end accuracy for these 2 algorithms. And we also did K-Nearest Neighbors, and it was awful. We had about 8% accuracy. But I think I am hamstringing my K-Nearest Neighbors a little bit, actually, by only looking at classes with more than 15 members. And I think what I want to do is I want to only look at classes with more than... We're looking at the 5 nearest neighbors. So it doesn't make sense to look at classes with fewer than 3 members. Yeah. Because 1 member will be unseen. That's the one we need to provide the label for. If there's only 1 other point in that area, it would be at best tied. If there's 2 other points in that area, then it would be, you have a potential of getting the right answer. So I think it makes sense to, all right, let's just real quick do some different data cleaning to give K-Nearest Neighbors really a fighting chance, and then look at the top end. Because as a classification algorithm, XGBoost, well, K-Nearest Neighbors is also classification. XGBoost does better with fewer classes with more data, which I guess is also true of K-Nearest Neighbors, but one of the big benefits of K-Nearest Neighbors is that it can handle many very small classes because you're not building sort of a distributional model for each of the classes. You're just looking at the specific area in your decision space for the point that you are currently looking at, and then looking at things close to that. So having more classes isn't going to necessarily make K-Nearest Neighbors worse. Having more distributed classes will make them worse. So... Kumar says, hey, can you do a Slack integration of a bot? That's a great question. One can. I am not going to do that today. But let me pull up the docs real quick. So the documentation for that, we actually have a connector built for you, so you can just use that. Is going to be in rasa.com/doc/rasa/user-guide/connector/slack, or you can just go to the Rasa Dax and click on Slack. Search for Slack and click on Slack. Or you can ask Sarah. If you haven't interacted with her, Sarah is built using Rasa. Can I make a Slack bot? I want to build a Slack integration. I don't want to migrate, something else. How does Slack work? How does Rasa work on Slack? Well, this has been an excellent interaction for everybody, I think. That we're constantly working on improving Sarah. So that conversation will be folded into our training data and improve it over time. That's the answer to Slack. I got sidetracked again. Sorry, I'm very sidetrackable. But hopefully that answers your question, Kumar. Definitely doable. I'm not going to do it on stream right now. What were we doing? Yes, we were changing our data cleaning. Yeah, I can only do this in a time. I don't know why copying and pasting is so hard for me on stream, but it is. All right, so we want to look at things with a count of more than 3 based on my logic previously. If anyone has and I'm just going to call this cities because it is not just common cities. It also will include very uncommon city-state combinations. And instead of common cities data frame, just regular cities data frame. And I don't want to write over my stuff. Canon. So I'm just going through and updating my stuff. All right, so what I've changed is I'm creating a new data frame that includes cities that occur more than 3 times. So this is a Boolean, a vector. Pretty sure it's a Boolean vector that we're using to filter the question data, the full question data, so we're only getting out cities that occur more than 3 times, hopefully. And then we're dropping columns that would trivially tell us the answer. So if we're trying to guess the combination of city and state and we have access to the city and state, that's a great way to figure out the answer. We don't want that. And then we're doing label encoding. So right now, at this point, these are text. We want them to be numbers because we want to represent them in a space. We want to represent them in space as distances in a multidimensional space. And then I want to save the label encoder that I used to do that, so later when I get my answers out, I can unencode them. And also so that later on, when I have participant data coming in, I can encode it using the same encoder. So that's the hope there. And then here we're just separating the target. This one's the target variable. This is the input variables, I guess. I keep forgetting the thing I've learned 18 times now. The statistics-y name for it. It'll come back to me. And then here we're doing the test training split. So we have 10% of our data in our test set, 90% of our data in our training set, because this is a very large data set. So I'm not super worried about having a smaller test set. And then we're setting the number of classes to be the number of unique values in Y. And I believe the reason that we were doing this the first time was just to double check that we had all of our classes represented in our training split as well as our testing split, which should not be a problem, I don't think. All right, so let's run this cell and hopefully not get any errors. Looks like we didn't. And then real quickly fit a new classifier. And now we have the exact same error rate because we did not update this. I was like, wow, what are the odds? Very low. That's the answer. Okay, so the error rate is higher, but we have more classes. And I think that this is going to give K-Nearest Neighbors a fairer shake than only looking at the really big classes. The next thing that I wanted to do, features. Yes, Dagma says X, K, and N are features. Correct. So these are the input features. Thank you. Also, I should mention that there's a little bit of a lag between the stream and me, or me and the stream, I guess. The other way around is how lags work. So I'm not ignoring you. It just takes a while for you to see me where I am, and then to reply, and then I see your replies, and etc. More tea. All right. Save the notebook. Hassan says you should put in place equals true when dropping a column. Is that for memory management reasons? I'm guessing. So based on your comment, it sounds like if we don't have in place as true, we're actually making a copy with the columns dropped. Here. All right, so I shall do that. Nope. All right, well, it looks like it's not an argument of drop. Perhaps you meant when I was deleting, maybe? I don't know. I'm apologizing. Sorry if I'm not picking up what you're putting down. But when we finish the feedback loop, you can clarify a little bit. All right, so we have an XGBoost model, which is fine. Like in terms of raw performance, based on the top one, it looks like it's performing quite a bit better, but at this point it is only looking at the larger classes rather than the smaller classes. I guess you can also look at the importance of each of the 18 questions, which I think is interesting. I guess what we could also do is try an XGBoost model that has all of the classes in it, but my guess is that it's not going to do very well. We can give that a shot, though. Why not? I was going to say compute is free. Compute is not free, but for me, right now, the marginal costs are very small. Let's call this dtrain. So I want to communicate that I have more cities. The data is bigger. The number of classes is bigger. The number of data per class is smaller, but I think that is an okay thing. Ooh, excuse me. But I think that's an okay thing to do. And I better make sure that this is actually the other data set. Otherwise, I will, again, get the exact same results out. And I'll be like, wow, that's so unlikely. All right, so this is going to be one of them problems if we don't fix that. So I overwrote the number of classes and I thought it wasn't being used except to check something. No, it is being used in the XGBoost. It's being used in right here. So I need to go back and make sure that I update that. Let's give it a round. All right, and it looks like the performance is 85, 856, 62. Suspiciously similar. Oh, and let's give this a better name. Make sure I actually update all of the data that we're using to the new data. An interesting error. Label must be in 0 to number of classes. All right. What is 415? Also 415. All right, well, it should not both be 415. I found my problem. I forgot to update. Robbie says, good morning. Good morning, Robbie. Welcome to the stream. Well, I don't know if it's morning for you. It is morning for me. was I? Okay. Had I rerun the cell where we have the number of 35? Okay, so it looks like I had rerun that cell. All right, let's give this ye old college try. Okay, so it looks like it's training. Yeah, it's training. It's gonna take a longer time because there are many more classes and many more cases. So we have a bigger data now, as they say. All right, well, that is percolating. All right. Oh, interesting. So even with like significantly more classes, it looks like XGBoost is still performing better. So Hassan says, maybe check the column names again in a different cell. No, so I think the good instinct, again, there's a delay. I think the problem was that I had changed the name of the number of classes, but I hadn't actually based the number of classes on the data set we were currently training with, was the difference. Yeah, so we're looking at like 92% accuracy, sorry, 92% error, which is much better than 99% error. So we might even end up, we still might end up going with XGBoost. The next thing we were going to look at was top N accuracy. Whoop. I'm a-Googling. How to evaluate XGBoost models. I remember last Wednesday somebody mentioned that there's something in scikit-learn, and I did not even a little bit remember what they said. And I guess I could go back and watch the video, but that seems like a weird thing to do in the middle of a stream. Perhaps I should have done it earlier. It's been, I got stuff on my mind. How top N accuracy, no, not XGBoost, scikit-learn was the one I was looking for. So top N just means instead of the, here we go, maybe this. So top N just means instead of our answer being the most likely answer and counting when that happens, you count it if it's in the most likely N. So top 3 accuracy would be how often do you get the correct answer in the top 3 answers that your model suggests. Top 5 accuracy would be the same, but top 5, etc. I don't know. Hopefully that's pretty intuitive. It's more common as an evaluation metric in recommender systems. And actually, so for people who are treating dialogue management stuff as a selection problem, like selecting the best response, sometimes you'll see top 1, top 3 sort of accuracy in that, top 2, top 5 usually in that literature as well. At the accuracy score, and this is must exactly match, so it's the top 1. Are we offline? Nope, just a little temporary blip. All right. Hopefully y'all can see me again. Sorry about that. I did, if you weren't here for the beginning of the stream, I did warn you that there's a lot of people using internet right now, so connectivity might be a little fuzzy. She says, can Rasa be used as a tool to read hundreds of texts and get context from it? It kind of depends on what you mean by text and content. So the big parts of Rasa are the Rasa, so in Rasa open source, there's the NLU portion and the core portion. And the NLU does things like entity extracting, so finding where in text people have referred to, for example, restaurants or proper names or dates or things like that. And then there's also intent identification. So this person wants to book a taxi. This person wants to say hello. This person wants to know if your assistant is an automated assistant or not. So if that's the sort of thing that you're looking to understand, then yes, you will have to provide a little bit of training data. If it's a language that pre-trained or embeddings are available for, you'll get pretty good results with a little bit less data. And yeah, I think that's the answer. So yes, if the things that you're interested in are identifying intents or entities. And we also just launched, if you're interested in learning more, a YouTube series by Vincent, one of the other developer advocates here at Rasa. And he's talking about our new algorithm that we've just launched with Rasa. I don't remember the subversion. 1.8.16 maybe. Don't quote me on that. I'd check the GitHub. And there's some videos describing how that works. And it's a multitask learning for both intents and entity extraction at the same time. So if that's what you mean by context, yes. If you're looking for like, I have a lot of documents and I want to do like unsupervised clustering and sort of discover topics that might be in there, that's not really something we support right now. So hopefully that answers your question. And hopefully also the stream was continuing. Yeah, it looks like it was. So accuracy. All right, this is top one, not what we want. Jacquard score. Oh. I've definitely worked with this before. Thank you. Open source 1.8. Thank you. Is where we have launched Diet. So check out the docs, check out the videos, and give it a try for your projects. Okay, this is binary classification. This is not what we're looking for. I don't know why I got so distracted by that. Binary label indicators. I also don't know why I'm holding my breath. All right, let's go to metrics and see all the metrics we got. Top N, again, is what I'm looking for here. They may not call it that. That's more of a... I say that's more of a machine learning term. And scikit-learn is a little bit more, slightly more statistics-y. It's definitely like you use it for machine learning. But in terms of the... techniques it includes, it tends to include more statistical techniques than just pure machine learning. Does that make sense? I don't know. Hello, Viraj, welcome. Affinities and kernels. That might be helpful. My glasses back on so I don't give myself a headache. Model selection interface scoring parameter, defining model evaluation rules. Okay, so it looks like we could make our own. I would prefer not to, given my druthers. Classification metrics. All right. Area under curve, that's for binary. Average precision. Don't think I'm super familiar with that. Balanced accuracy. Breyer score loss. Don't know as I've ever heard of that. Classification report. Cohen-Kappa score. Nope, that'll just do one at a time. Confusion matrix, way too big of a data set to be, way too many classes to be helpful for the confusion matrix. So we had 415, 415 classes in our original data set, and then in our original round of training things, and we have 2,127 classes in our bigger data set that has more of the data. Discounted cumulative gain. I've never heard of that either. What the heck is discounted cumulative gain? True scores ranked in the order induced by the sum the true scores ranked in the order induced by the predicted scores after applying a logarithmic discount. This ranking metric yields a high value if true labels are ranked high by y-score. Oh, this might be actually right up our alley. True targets of multi-class label classification or true scores of entities to be ranked. Target scores can either be probability estimates. Oh, is this for specifically ranking problems? So this might... So it looks like, to me, based on my first reading, this is for problems where what you get out is a rank of things, and you also know the true ranking of things. And we don't know the true ranking of things. We only know the top answer for each of our participants. Target scores, probability estimate. Yeah, all right. So this will not actually work. Also, it's gain is like a product. I think it's like a laundry detergent in the US. So it does sound like you've just like bought a lot of cheap laundry detergent. And that's what passes for humor on this channel. Well, no, that's not fair. In my videos. All right. Jacquard definitely ain't going to do it for us. Confusion matrix, we have too many classes. We found out about this. This is for rankings. We don't have the true rankings. F1 is binary. F beta, never heard of that. Hamming loss. No, I don't think I have heard of that. I think I've heard of like ham radios. I don't think that's the same thing. Hinge loss, Jacquard, log loss, Matthew's co-reference. Nope, this is for multi-label classification where each instance has multiple true labels. Nick Wood says, I laughed. Thank you, Nick. I appreciate your pity laugh. Precision recall, that's binary. Precision score, just the recall. AOC curve 0, 1 loss. Well, multi-labels, so this is where each item has multiple labels that it can have. We're not doing clustering, so those aren't going to be... What's bi-clustering? Evaluating a bi-clustering result, internal and external. Internal measures such as clusters. You know what? This is a rabbit hole. We're going down a rabbit hole, and I need to come up out of the rabbit hole. Pairwise, not what we're doing. Plotting. Confusion matrix display. Like, we could plot a confusion matrix. It is not going to be helpful. It'll be way too small. Each of the, like, you know, little rows and columns will be too small to be helpful for us. Gaussian mixture models, model selection, splitter functions, hyperparameter optimization, validation. All right. Hassan says, when will the next live session be? So live sessions are Wednesday and Friday at 9 a.m. Unless I am out of town or something, in which case I will update the YouTube channel. Probably not going to be out of town for the next little bit, though. Probably. Seems likely. So, that wasn't super helpful. I learned some stuff, so that was good. I guess what I can also look for is like, let's see, we can also try for like top N answers XGBoost. That might be helpful. Let's see. I'm just Googling in a separate tab. How are samples selected? Number of parameter, hottest XGBoost answers on data science Stack Exchange. I'm sure it's just about tuning parameters. Tree boosting, binary logistic objective function. Which one is better, XGBoost versus AdaBoost? Not gonna get into that fight. XGBoost most likely. Actually, you know what we did last time was we did this BST prob, which I think actually is going to give us multiple. So I'm pretty sure this is going to give us multiple answers. It's an array. How do you do head on an array? NumPy array head. That's what I want to know. Is there a head or tail method for NumPy array? Good question, my friend. Oh, interesting. Okay, so you can do a slice. All right, so we can do. You have to. You can check it via array. That's an array. Slice head. That's exactly what I'm doing. Yes, they're exactly the same. You have to specify head and tail since NumPy doesn't have a default for that, unlike pandas where you can specify the number of lines as well. Oh, so you can do this, but you're also going to have to define what head is at some point. That seems like an excellent use of my time. Okay. Gotcha. Okay, so let me see that shape. Yeah, okay, so what we have here is, right. I was like, why do we only have 415 classes? We only have 415 classes because this model was not trained with the other data set. So let's fix that real quick. Just real quick. Probability. Multi-soft prob. So instead of picking the top one, we're gonna do this. And actually, I'm just gonna get rid of. This may not be accurate. Canon, bigger. All right. Hassan says, I think it's going away from my understanding, but I want to learn Rasa and its workflow from you. What should I do now? Oh, yeah, no worries. We're, this is not core to Rasa. This is me building the thing that we will put in a custom action. So basically when you have, see, we're not even in a Rasa directory right now. Basically when you, have a participant says something to your bot, and then your bot can respond back to them, or you can also trigger a custom action, which is just code, some arbitrary code that you run, and it'll run in a separate server from your Rasa server. So your Rasa server serving the interaction, figuring out what the person's saying, picking the next thing to say. One of the things it might pick is, based on your stories, an action to take. So what we're doing now is we are training the model that will be run on the action server. And then when someone has a conversation, they'll be asked a bunch of questions. All of that information will be stored in the tracker. And then once all the questions have been asked, that will trigger the next action to send all of that information to the action server. The action server will run our classifier. And all we're doing right now is we're building the classifier. Take the answer, pass it back to our Rasa server, and then that will pass it back to the participant. So what we're doing now is sort of not super core to Rasa. It is core to this project actually working, though. I also thought it would take like 3 live streaming sessions, and wow, was I wrong. Yeah, I'm also really bad at guessing how long stuff will take. Yeah, so that's where this will fit in our bot. Yeah, and if you're interested in learning more about sort of how Rasa works and getting a little bit of a walkthrough, I'd recommend the Masterclass series, which is on our YouTube channel, which Yusta did. Super good series, will help you develop your understanding of Rasa, and will not be, knee deep in metrics for machine learning models the whole time. I hit my teeth with the glass. Ow. It's fine. It just feels a little funky. All right, now we have a soft prob model. So we can get rid of you. Peace out, buddy. That's not bad, though. That's because it's the same model that we had earlier. Right, so this is now called BST bigger. Right, okay, so the reason we're getting this error is softmax gives us the top answer for each case. Oh, somebody needs to oil their belt. Very squeaky. Soft prob is going to give us the probability across each of our classes, of which we have like 12,000. So we can actually get rid of you. There we go. And can I move this down? Is that what that does? Yeah, nice. All right. All right, so we have about 87. Surely not. Surely not. All those errors were way, 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 way too low. We were getting errors in the 90s. Yeah, that's not awesome. So we got nothing. Well, we've gotten everything wrong with this model. This model has gotten 100% wrongness. That's not ideal. All right. Woof. Oh, wait. Hold up. Everything is not, yeah, I think there's a real good reason for that, and that we are using the wrong data. Hopefully. Lengths must match to compare. Okay, which lengths have to match? Nope, I was right the first time. It is 100% wrong. Well, noted. All right. Dagum says, lol. Yep. Well, this has been great. Something's wrong. Something's wrong with this code. So we've got our predictions. Right. Okay. Yeah. And then the error rate is the sum where predictions does not equal y test KNN. Hassan says, can you share the Python notebook? Yeah, sure. I mean, I can't share the data, so it's not going to be super helpful. But yeah, I can definitely share the notebook. I will add it to the repo. As I remember, there was something reshaping here. One sec. I'm just going to scrub back through the live stream a little bit and see if that helps. See if I can find the thing I'm talking about. That's not it. That's not it. That's not it. That's not it. Am I watching my own live stream right now? Shh, listen. Aha, okay. So we also, rather than just predicting, we did reshape, y test, KNN, dot shape 0, num class. Predict, yes. And then the predicted label was and then the error rate was where the predicted label was not the correct label. Okay, that makes sense. Okay. David said, which VS Code extension are you using for Jupyter? It's one of these. I think it's just the built-in one, but as I remember, I did have to install the dev version of the Python extension to get it to work. I did that off stream, and I'm glad I did because it took like 3 hours. Yeah, and the biggest problem I've run into, please don't say everything's wrong this time. What did I do? Much better. Okay, excellent. Yeah, the biggest problem I've run into with the Jupyter extension is that the code that is shown here will be out of sync with the underlying code. Okay, so what I did was we were just comparing basically like the first row and seeing if that was the same as the labels. And of course it never was, because the first row is just probabilities and the labels are labels that are all more than one. So none of them would ever match. Ooh, back into focus. I will stop moving my head quite so much. And then we looked through all those labels and found the row where the, and then found the index of the label that had the highest probability. And then we took the error rate of those ones, so actually looking at the labels and comparing them to the labels and not comparing the labels to probabilities, which would never be correct. And then turning that into an error rate, which I'm actually pretty happy with. So we have about 95% error rate. Again, I think it'll be a little bit better with the top 3. Which I still can't figure out how to do. And that's compared to 99% error rate with KNN. So If you asked me before the stream, I probably would have said KNN probably a little bit better. Would have been my guess, especially when we increased the number of classes. It was not. The XGBoost, soft prob, even with 2,000 classes, did much, much better. I mean, still 95% error rate is not amazing. Let's be honest. But I'm pretty happy with that. I think that we probably will go with an XGBoost model for our chatbot. So next steps. We just want to get it working at this point. So the next steps are going to be to take this model, make it transferable in some format. Let me actually make me some notes. A little to-do section. I'm pretty sure that one's marked down. To do. So, export model and encoder. So the encoder is what we use to take the questions that look like this with the text and then turn them into, oh, wow, sip of water. I've been talking for a while. And I did drink a big cup of coffee right before I went on stream, which is not a good choice for voice happiness. So what our encoder does is it records how we took these numbers and how we took these words and turned them into numbers. And when we get the input from the users, they're going to give us words, and then we need to turn them into numbers. And if we don't turn the same words into the same numbers, we'll just have a bad time of it because our classifier won't work. So we need to do that. And then we need to convert the user input from form to correct format for classifier return. Actually, that's a little bit later on. Before that, I want to figure out how to return top 3 city states. What is this? Civilization? City plus state combos. Oh, hey, Ryan. Ryan says, might be worth checking the performance of a naive benchmark that just guesses the majority dialect or something like that. I see the XGBoost is finding the first iteration is getting the best performance. Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. Yeah, that's not a bad idea. So I think I will actually add that to our to-do list for Wednesday. Yeah, I'm trying to decide if I want to do an extra stream on Monday or not. Yeah, probably not. I will, a little sneak peek. I am going to be uploading an edited video. Ooh, I edited something on Monday. So there's definitely going to be some content out. Compare to naive benchmark. And one thing that's nice about this data set is even though we have a lot of classes, I don't think it's super duper imbalanced. I'm trying to remember what this is, class target. So the biggest cities are Chicago, Seattle, representing, New York, Houston, and Kansas City, which are fairly large, but again, sorry, that's the common cities. I want all the cities. There we go. Which are much larger than these guys, but we also have 2,000 classes, so it's not that much bigger. But yeah, it would be good to know how often we're just guessing that someone's from Chicago and having good success because of that. All right, so I think comparing to a naive benchmark is a really good idea. Exporting the model that we're happy with, whichever one that is, exporting the encoder separately. Make sure we have both of those. Actually, I think we should probably do that after we figure out how to return the top 3 cities plus state combos. And then exporting the model encoder, and then converting user input from Rasa form to correct format for classifier, and then return output as text. And then, is that how you spell naive? That's not how Ryan spelled naive. 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 I know that the I is supposed to have a little diacritic, the 2 dots over it. You know, the snakebite diacritic. Jiminy, what's that called? I don't remember. Ooh, 6 years of French and I don't remember what that one's called. I'm pretty sure that's the one that's like the ghost of an S, though. Like when there used to be an S in the history of the language and then it got dropped, you get a little... Don't remember what it's called, though. All right, so once we do this, we'll be good to go. We'll have a working bot. No, we won't. We need to turn the quiz into a form and actually ask the people all the questions. Because right now we asked them 3 questions. Once we do that, we'll have a working bot, and we should be able to do some classifying. Abdul Majed, sorry if I said that wrong, said, have you checked the Rexis challenge, the recommendation system challenge? I have not. Umlaut! That's what it is. Thank you. Rexis 2020. I have not. I will say I don't really work in recommendation systems. Let me pull this up. It's an ACM. I don't know that I'm a member of the ACM, actually. I'm definitely an NLP. I'm an ACL member. And I think I'm am I an IEEE member? If I am, it's lapsed. I might be an IEEE member, but I don't think I'm an ACM member. Sorry, let me zoom in a lot. It's a Recommender Systems conference on Recommender Systems. Oh, Rio, that'll be nice. I have not, but I will check that out. Thank you. All right. Thank you for joining, everybody. I hope this was at least amusing, if not helpful. Abdul Majed says, anyone can participate in the Rexis challenge. Cool. Yeah, if anyone's interested in working in recommendation systems, maybe a good thing to check out. Thanks for sharing. I will be back on Wednesday for sure with a little additional live streaming. We'll continue to work on this project. I will say I really only work on this project on stream, so and I tend to also code a little bit slower on stream than I do in just like focusing heads down. So it'll be a bit. It'll be a bit before the bot's done. That's the thing that I'm saying there. But once it is, it'll be very exciting. I'm looking forward to it. All right. Thank you, everybody, for joining. Have a great day. Have a good weekend. Wash your hands, take reasonable precautions. And I will see you on Wednesday. Thanks for joining. Bye.